Hello, brothers and sisters in Heartdwellers family. I got a call from a very close family member who's going through one of the hardest trials in her marriage. She's been married for 10 years with one child, and the husband has been unfaithful, abusive emotionally and physically. She has fasted and prayed and prayed and fasted for his deliverance, for the Lord to restore and heal their marriage. She has truly been a friend on this journey, as we found out that our trials are very similar in our relationship. So she's been such a source of encouragement for me as I've been for her. However, she called me with devastating news that she felt her husband was not only cheating, but now has a child by another woman. My heart was broken, and she said if that was true, she was finally done. You see, the Lord has promised her restoration as well, and this was her breaking point. She was weary from the fight, the battle, and not seeing any real breakthrough for so long. When I got off the phone with her, my heart was so heavy. And what could I tell her? Stay? Trust the Lord? How? When she was in pain. And I'm not sure if the shoes was on the other foot, I would be able to endure. And for that long. So I came before the Lord to hear his heart concerning the situation. As I said, this has been such a whirlwind of pain. Please bring me your peace and bring this soul peace. So it's true, Lord. Her husband has another child with another woman? Jesus responded, he too has a child, and all things will be made clear to the soul. I have provided graces upon him to cooperate. Let her know her fasting and prayers have not been wasted. I removed the obstacles and strongholds in his life, but he has not responded to my graces. His stubbornness, self-will, and love of money is too strong at this moment for him to see or think clearly. It is my instructions to her to separate herself for a time. I do not want her to divorce him. He's a man that I have great plans for, and all her sufferings will bear great fruit to produce something wonderful in his life. But for now, that is the best thing she can do. Pray fervently for him each day against the powers and strongholds that are in control of him, and then catch him when he falls. A great fall is coming, and he will fall. I need her to be there for him when that happens. Just as I did with Mother Claire and Father Ezekiel. Sometimes separation is necessary, especially when one of the couples are praying. Oh, I will do a mighty work in this time. When she tucks away with me, receives healing and gains confidence and trust in what I'm doing. I know it may seem like it's over, or she would prefer that it's over, because it's been such an uphill battle. But let her know not to give up or give in to these thoughts. Jesus began to the soul. My beloved one, I stand with you. I'm for you and I'm fighting this battle on your behalf. The pain you have endured has been oh so great, and has been used for the process of your sanctification and purification. There's much bitterness and resentment there in your heart for all that he has done and all that you've endured in this marriage. Know that I too was a disgrace, dishonored, and looked like a fool among men, because of the great love I had for my spouse, the church, my bride. So you're looking more and more like me. Do not allow this pain to sink so deep that you are buried in a pit and entangled roots of bitterness towards him and towards the future I still have destined for you both. There will be a great temptation to find comfort and solace in another in this time of separation. Do not fall for it. That will be the greatest trial, the heartache and the loneliness. But it's in these moments I want to be your everything and your all in all. I will bring your spouse around. I will, beloved. So fast will be his fall and swift his conviction and illumination of his conscience as to where he stands with me. The power of darkness have nothing on my mercy, and it is by my mercy that this marriage will be restored, healed, and delivered from the powers of darkness, his own flesh and his own self-will. For no soul can resist my will, and your prayers have come up to me like a sweet incense, filling the cup of my Father's chalice, just as I was in the Garden of Gethsemane. Every suffering, every trial, every pain you've endured in this marriage gets poured in the chalice, and at the appointed time, once the cup is full, it's poured out for the salvation of souls, and whom it is you have been praying for. That cup of yours is almost full. You're so close, and once poured out upon your spouse, he will receive my mercy and taste my justice as well. And all the chains and shackles will break. He'll be brought to the end of himself, on his knees running to me. Will you trust me just a little while longer? Be at peace to go to a place I've prepared for you for a time. Then I'll have you return in full union and love to a marriage healed and now restored. Now Jesus began addressing both of us. You see, the dynamics of marriage are ever so difficult when there's sin, especially infidelity and unrighteous behavior. Your family has a history of this, beloved ones. I've been gracious enough to have you and this little one going through very similar trials because the cross would be too difficult and the journey too hard to bear alone. Because of the blood sacrifices, the ancestral worship that runs so deep even now in your family, my justice must meet with every sin down to the third and fourth generation. However, I have also said, I will show mercy to those who have obeyed my ways. Deuteronomy 5 verses 9 through 8. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commands. It is the generation before you that began to turn more towards me and away from serving Satan wholeheartedly. So this is my mercy for you both, to be in union with me, intimacy with me, and hearing and being led by me, that you do not make the same mistakes your forefathers did, or retreat from this battle, and leave the broken and weak men chosen for you both. For I only know the outcome of their lives, the end from the beginning, and they both will become beautiful men, transformed by your unconditional love, living for me and building up my kingdom. That is what they were both destined to be, shepherds and fathers of many souls. But the enemy of their soul has perverted that, so very intentionally, and since childhood, both these men have been targeted and marked for a life destined for hell and destruction, if it had not been for the prayers of their mothers, certain souls in their family, and of my mother, who has taken on your trial as her own. She will watch over my words to ensure it does not return void, and has been with you and your spouses both since childhood. She was very well aware of the enemy's traps he had laid up for both of you to miss this divine grace, this divine appointment with these men that I've given you, to reach the grace and degree of holiness I've destined for you too. You both must see as I see, and understand from my perspective what I'm doing. It seems so painful right now and unbearable, but trust me, what I'm doing with you both will run deep in your family for generations to come. Just like Ruth, Esther, and Rahab, whose one act of obedience changed the course of history, and that of the nation of Israel directly impacted my lineage, I'm doing the same with you too. Your lives, your yes, your obedience, your surrender, and acceptance to my will will change everything, impacting eternity, your families, your sibling, and your generation. Please don't give up. Trust my words to you both. Follow my counsel. Continue to seek me out and give these men back to me, in my loving hands where I alone can convict, love, and break them to become what I've called them to be. And that was the end of Jesus' message. After sharing this message with this soul, she saw her husband change after she confronted him. He denied it and was so nice to her that she decided she would stay, despite what the Lord said. But I left it in her hands. Then 2 weeks later, he was triggered again and went into a fit, and left her instead after some hurtful words and actions. She called me crying as I was heartbroken and told her the importance of being obedient to the Lord. He didn't want it this way, but rather that she would have left. But either way, his will happened. I told her to trust the Lord because him leaving confirmed this message, and the breaking was coming. Sure enough, 2 days later, he got into an almost fatal accident. His sports car was totaled, but he was okay. This was just one of the many breakings God talked about, and rather than being fearful, it actually made me have greater faith in the Lord's words, that he was going to restore her marriage after he broke him, and it is still underway. He called her and she went to nurse him back to health for a bit. Please pray for this precious soul who has endured through so much for love of God and for her husband's salvation. She's unable to afford to go anywhere, so still at their former home waiting and trusting the Lord to bring this word home.
That's only 2 for answer. So, if your brother, this your brother, the witches this year no go work. Oh, the family way they say they remove one side. Nothing good. She said, "Room ni na boo boo boo." Zebra crossing.
I share this to encourage a woman or man who has endured through the most difficult storms in your marriage, as you've prayed and waited to see breakthrough, but you've witnessed your spouse do all manner of unrighteous things over and over again without being touched or convicted. And you're wondering, Lord, when will you convict him or her? When will they see all the wrong they've done in this marriage? Trust the Lord that He is your defender, and nothing has gone unnoticed in His sight. And in the right time, justice will come in your marriage, not to fulfill any desire of revenge or retaliation, but to see God's hand intervene to stop your spouse from heading into complete destruction. I love this quote from War Room, where Beth Moore says, "Submission is ducking so God can hit your husband." Or for a man, so God can hit your spouse. God chastises those He loves, and sometimes He has to hit us to get our attention when we don't respond to the conviction, to the nudge, or even the fall. So stay encouraged, keep praying, and believing for breakthrough in your own relationship, and pray for troubled marriages. God bless you until the next message.